I'm gonna show you how simple it is to deploy to Motia Cloud. In this video, we're gonna use a really simple app which we're using in our Motia website to track the number of stars real time. So like Motia repo, I haven't started yet. How come? And let me start it, and you guys should see it will increase it to 8450, right? All live, right? So that's like we have one thing called streams, and let me show you exactly how it is. So in Motia project, we can define a stream, and a stream is basically a record that you can save, you can store, and will be immediately streamed to whoever is subscribing it to. We have clients for browser and we have clients for React out of the box, so you just import. I'm gonna show you in a bit how it works. And it's basically like you define the structure, and whenever that changes, whoever is subscribing will get the updates. The step that I talked is just this post, right? It is using the GitHub structure. So like the body schema is all based on GitHub documentation. So in the body schema, we define what we're expecting, and it creates the documentation. So let me show you. I'm gonna go ahead and npm run dev, and let me open. So there you go. This is what we see. This is the definition of the endpoint. And then in the response schema is basically like on 200, we'll respond with a message, event, and process as a boolean. And okay, so in the handler, this is where the logic comes in, right? And I'm validating some headers from GitHub, and I'm discarding like if it's not a star event. And I'm gonna show how we can avoid that to happen, but like I added some safe checks to the code. We have webhook secret to validate if it's actually GitHub was trying to access this endpoint, because we don't want someone to do it, to just play around with our code. So I'm gonna just hide it for now because it's not quite needed to pay attention to. And then we have the repository. We configure the full name. The full name includes the organization, and the name is just the name of the repository and the organization, obviously. So sender, we have name, login, avatar, and etc. And then we create the webhook data. This data we are storing in streams. So in streams we have groups, and we have an identification. So we can put that in a bucket, which we call groups. And the group in this case is the organization. And the ID, the identification, is the repository name itself. And then we're storing this data, right? Which is basically what we defined it here in SARS name and stuff, right? So yeah, the rest is fine. We don't need to worry too much about it. So I'm gonna show how we are gonna deploy this app. So when we open Motia Cloud for the first time, we should see this page. And in here, we can select the port. And in this case, the workbench is 3000. So I'm gonna hit next. I created the project demo stars, and the environment name should be demo. And when I hit next, I can see the project that I just ran. This is basically this UI, like how cool it is. Like we can see what I have in workbench, we can see in cloud. I'm not gonna add any environment variables just yet, and I'm just gonna hit deploy, right? And it's built, it's uploading the assets, and we'll start the deployment. So now we wait a bit because it's creating some resources, which we are creating streams which deals with all of the WebSockets logic. So we don't want developers to handle that because that's not fun. We have the state machines, which is also the streams because the streams are stored somewhere, right? And within the API gateway, we are gonna create this one single endpoint. So now we created the core resources, and it's now preparing to create the endpoint. It takes just a minute. It doesn't take too long. Depending on the project, it can take up to 4 minutes. And by the way, Motia Cloud is deployed with Motia Cloud itself, and it takes 4 minutes tops to deploy. Cool, I created it and should be ready in a second. Now we have it. I'm gonna click to fill the environment, and there we go, right? We have this URL, which if we access, it will obviously be not found because I haven't created a get endpoint. And we have the WebSocket, right? So that's what I'm gonna share in the webhook configuration, right? So I'm gonna add a new webhook. The payload URL will be this one plus the webhook here. I'm gonna use JSON, no secrets, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think that works. And instead of like sending everything, I want to select only the things that I care. That's what I told you about, like, okay, we can have some checks. I'm gonna remove pushes. Okay, yeah, this one. There you go. And I'm gonna create this webhook. Cool. Now I created it. It will trigger, and we should see in a bit as the logs. I'm gonna share the logs in a bit. And then in here, let me see if it is working, because it always tries to push to it. Let me refresh. Cool, it is delivered, right? So in a bit, I can show the logs. Right now, I won't show any logs because it takes about a minute to ingest the logs into this view. So let's hold on a bit. Let me go back, and now let's test it. But how do we test it, right? So I created this, I've coded this project with React, which will show the counter, right? And if you check here, it's this one is not like the like static, right? And we want to do it to be working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add, let me create a new console. Let me add this one. Cool. And now I'm gonna add a provider to the root of the project. And in the provider, we're gonna add the address, but the address is not this, right? I'm gonna grab from Motia Cloud. This is the address that we should use. Sounds good. If we refresh, it won't do anything, right? Because this is just to create the connection. And right now, I'm gonna use, I'm gonna go to the app, and I'm gonna use UserStream item. And in UserStream item, the stream name is, let me go back to this, is this name. Cool. And group should be Motia Dev, and the ID should be Motia. Cool. And then we have the stars data. Let me use really simple. I'm gonna use just stars. And then within stars data, this one can be nullable. So let's put it here. And I mean, I'm gonna add this, right? And we see 0. Remove that. Remove this click. We don't need that anymore, right? And it's 0. So I'm gonna send a new endpoint, and this is gonna save. And now we see it, right? And it's actually 8451. Someone started. Thank you for that. So yeah, so that's how we deployed to Motia. And let me open the logs, and now we should see, yeah, this one was the event that GitHub tested, right? So that's why we added these save checks. So this is how you deploy Motia apps to Motia Cloud. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you deploy lots of apps to Motia Cloud. See you in the next video.